Well, good evening, everyone. This is Beth Caldwell. So glad to have you on the call this evening. Tonight's topic is 7 ways women sabotage their business and how to overcome this. This is an idea that I had this week, ladies, this weekend, as I was cleaning out my closets and thinking about some bad news that I had received from a friend, some disappointing news, not really bad news, but I just started thinking about the way that sometimes we women, including myself, sabotage ourselves. And I thought, I think this is something that we need to talk about. And so being the writer that I am, I grabbed my legal pad and started jotting down some notes. And a day or two later, here we had a teleclass coming out. So I'm grateful to those of you who are available this evening to dial in live without very much notice. And I know there are lots and lots of people who want this information and signed up just so they could knowing that they couldn't be here, but so that they could get the recording. So there are a lot of people on the call. Many of you have shared this information with your friends, and there are people here that have never heard of me. So let me give a brief introduction. My name is Beth Caldwell. I am from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, from Western Pennsylvania. Many people know me, and I think what I'm most known for is my women's organization called Pittsburgh Professional Women. And through Pittsburgh Professional Women, which is 12 years old now, I have a little spin-off organization or class that I teach called Leadership Academy for Women. That's how most people know me. That's probably one of the most visible things that I do. But in reality, I started Pittsburgh Professional Women many years ago to support my business and to support myself in my business by being able to network and grow with other women as I grew my business. And at that time, I owned a public relations and marketing strategy firm where I worked with small businesses, entrepreneurs, a lot of solopreneurs, and even some nonprofits that I worked with. And so I owned that business and operated that business very successfully, even during a recession. In 2009, I wrote my first book, which was a lifelong dream of mine. I wanted to be an author since before I could read. I've always loved books, and I've always enjoyed writing. So my first book came out in 2009. That book was called I Wish I'd Known That, Secrets to Success in Business from Women Who've Been There. And that talks about all the things that I didn't know about business before I started my business. It was a really fun book to write. It was really, really, really popular. I still speak on that topic today. And since then, I've written several more popular books. And in 2013, I made a huge decision to step away from my public relations firm and become a full-time writer and speaker. And that is not a decision. Being a single parent, I'm divorced, and being a single parent with 2 children who depend on me, that was really tough to walk away from a thriving business to get paid to speak. And so it wasn't an instant thing. It was a transitional thing. And this is my first year, fully 2016 is my first year where my intention is full-time speaker. And so I'll tell you, if those of you who are on the call tonight believe in the law of attraction, that has really worked for me, setting my intentions and saying what I'm going to do and asking for the business. It has worked for me. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. There's a great deal of hard work and effort and some pretty savvy marketing that went into it. But when I made the decision of what I wanted to do, it actually became very, very easy. And so that's a little bit about me. You can read more about me all over the internet. Today I'm a writer I write books. I'm a full-time speaker, as I said, and I teach mainly business strategy. I'm very, very blessed to be able to work with Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey, yes, the man who made the mistake on Miss Universe is the way he's fondly known now. He has a book called Act Like a Success, and 2 years ago he launched his own Success Institute, and I teach for him and in his success and personal life classes for women. And I also write for a newspaper and a magazine. And so I really, really am living my dream. So you can find out all about me all over the internet. You can find my articles and listen to some of my recorded workshops online. But mostly, I'm the mother to Brian and Kevin, 2 grown sons. I have a kitty cat, JJ Kitty, who's always around. And JJ prefers webinars. He He always seems to know when I have a webinar going on, and he usually pokes his nose into the camera. So he's very, very sophisticated around women and business women and sort of used to this whole thing. And then I have my significant other, Paul. And, that's sort of my simple life. I like to be with my family. I like to do my writing. And a couple times a month I like to get up on a stage. And over the years of working in my business as a strategist, as a publicist, plus with the women that I've met through my organization, Pittsburgh Professional Women, I have noticed that some women who say they want to be successful, and I think they believe that they want to be successful, yet they continually have habits around that sabotage them. I don't think that they're always necessarily aware of their tendencies to sabotage themselves. And I can say this and talk about this subject because not only have I seen it in other women, but I've experienced every one of these sabotaging behaviors my own self. And so these are things that fortunately I've been able to overcome. One or two of them I still have to work on today. But I had a friend today friend this past week on Saturday, I learned she was closing her business. And this is a business that has a retail location, very, very expensive rent, something that she believed in and fought hard for and really, really wanted to work, and it didn't. And there were some obstacles to overcome, but I'll tell you, as I thought about how heartbroken she must be and how heartbroken I was for her, I thought about some of the ways that we women sometimes set it up subconsciously so that things won't work out. And it bothered me, and it bothered me a lot. So as I said before, as a writer, I started writing these things down, and then I said, we have to talk about this some more. Because I believe that when we put this information out into the public and we begin to have discussions about it, we talk about those elephants in the room, and we start to have conversations, and we start to realign ourselves into who we're really meant to be by overcoming these obstacles, then not only do we achieve abundance and success and fulfillment, but so importantly, we show the example to other women of how to do the same. And that's really true abundance, when we can live it and be it for each other. And so, I don't have this scripted. I'm just talking. I've never given this presentation up, but it's interesting that I just said that. And we're going to begin with, I'm going to count this down to number 7. I actually had 5. When I started this on Sunday evening, I had 5, and today I added 2 more. So the number 7 way that women sabotage their business, number 7, they worry about what other people think. Worrying about what other people think. To me, this is the most serious issue that I see among women in our culture right now, and this is the way that we judge each other. And what's a little bit worse than the way we judge each other is the way that we judge ourselves. This is an unkind way to be. If you could stop thinking about what other people might think of you, I'm going to take this big step. I'm going to do something new. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to ask for a raise. I'm going to ask for a transfer. I see women go in their heads or even say out loud, but what will my boss think, and what will my coworkers think, and what will my neighbors think, and what will the people at my church think, and what will my mother think and my sister think? And really, you get caught up in this cycle, and it's very, very unhealthy. If we could stop thinking about what other people are thinking of us, we would have a lot more time in our day, a lot more space in our brains to focus on what is really important. And I think that worrying about what other people think is a type of fear that keeps you from being your best self. Now, just like other women, this is an issue that I've struggled with, and I was thinking about this today as I was preparing for the class tonight. There was one time early in my career, I mentioned to you that I'm a single mom. I am divorced and was divorced when my children were very, very young. My youngest son had some health issues, and when he was grade school age, things were hard for us because he needed a lot of medical attention. And it was really difficult for me to work, which is why I became an entrepreneur. I needed to be available for my son, for his therapy appointments, for all of his medical appointments, and for the times at that time when he was in the hospital, usually for extended periods of time. And I couldn't keep a job and do that. So I needed to find something that I could do that would give me the income. I was 36, 37 years old, or surely I didn't want to move back in with my parents. I needed to find a way to make an income so that I could pay for this house and the car and the food, but still be available to take care of my son. And so I'll never forget this. I started my own business, and somebody was mean to me. I don't even remember who it was right now, but I do remember her saying something to me over the phone, like, well, I can't believe you're trying something new. I mean, why don't you just get a job? And it just cut me in the heart when she said that, and it bothered me for a couple of days. And actually, I'm sitting in my dining room right now, and I remember I was in the dining room at this time. Now, Kevin's 23 now, so this has been more than 10 years ago. I remember just sort of having this spiritual moment where I was going over in my head what she said to me and thinking, this was my spiritual kind of aha moment. It was, Beth, yes, I kind of said it to myself. Beth, the only people that you really answer to, the only people that you need to answer to are God and your two children. That's it. And it was like a freeing moment for me that it didn't matter what she thought. Now, this particular woman was a stay-at-home mom, a lady from my Bible study. She didn't have to worry about income. Her husband made a nice living, and she could go to Bible study every day of the week if she wanted to. So she wasn't really somebody that I should have been listening to her advice or wondering what her opinion was. Still, yet I let it hurt me. And I think it's really important to remember that who you need to answer to are God and your family. And that's it. And when you're making decisions about your finances, your career, your choices, where your children are going to go to school, what you're going to do, it really doesn't matter what anybody else thinks except for those people right in your own home. Now, I understand that saying, oh, don't worry about what other people think or don't think about what other people think. I know that makes sense to you sort of academically, but I understand that new habit of letting those thoughts go is easier said than done. So I wrote myself some notes here. How do you overcome this? So number one, be aware of your thoughts. Notice that cycle of when you begin to think about or worry about what other people are thinking. And when you're thinking about what other people are thinking, you're away from your own intentions. And so you just notice that, well, I'm not focusing on my goals right now. I'm not focusing on my intentions. I'm not focusing on my growth. And bring your mind back. That's a really helpful tip, is just being aware. And sometimes it's a little surprising at how often our mind goes to worry, whether it's about what other people think or whether it's about something else. But the awareness is the first step to cut that down. And when you become aware of it, maybe tomorrow you will only think about it. Let's say you thought about what other people think 5 times today. Maybe tomorrow it's only 3. And maybe next week it's only 1. For me, awareness of issues usually helps to eliminate them once you become aware of them. So another thing that you can do is keep a mantra or a motivational saying in front of you at all times. I choose a theme for myself for every year, and I create a pretty image, and I put that image in places where I see it frequently. So it's on my dresser mirror. It's on my date book. It's on my laptop on the screensaver. It's on my telephone as my screensaver. This year, my theme is impact, and that helps me to remember when my mind wanders, what is it that I'm really supposed to be thinking of? So that's number 7 way that women sabotage their business, and that's worrying. Oh, no, I have one more tip for you. Hold on. One more tip that you can do. So the first one was be aware of your thoughts. Keep a mantra. Another thing is, this is so important. Surround yourself with positive thoughts and people. Now, you might have to live with or you might work with some people who just don't think the way you do. And so you can't change the way other people think. But what you can do is you can choose who you spend your free time with, the time that you have that you get to make a decision about who you're hanging out with or what you're listening to, watching, or reading. And you don't have to be listening to, watching, and reading what those negative people are listening to, watching, and reading. And so make sure that you surround yourself with positive thoughts. And people do things like this call tonight and other calls, and make sure that at least every week you get to be face-to-face, side-by-side by somebody that has the same belief system as you. And this is why church is so important. And those of you in businesses where you motivate one another, why your regular meetings are so important, because we hunger for that connection, and it really helps to sustain us. So make sure you also surround yourself with positive people. So that's the number 7 way that women sabotage themselves. Number 6, not quite so esoteric. This one's a little bit more serious, but this is a really big problem that I now that I'm thinking about this, as I said, I don't have this scripted. So as I'm thinking about this out loud, I've never met one man in business who has struggled with this issue, number 6, and that is not having an accounting system, not having a way to account for the money in your business. So many of my clients are healers, solo professionals, consultants, sole proprietors, and they might have 4 or 5 clients. I work with a lot of coaches and authors. They might have, 4 or 5 clients, or maybe up to 12 clients. And so they do an invoice on their computer and accept a check, or maybe they take Square through their cell phone. And some of them don't have an actual business checking account. But everybody that I do work with is at the point where they have a separate checking account. But things just really aren't sort of streamlined and organized. And this is a mistake, because if you don't account for your money, then how do you know how much you're growing? And so here's the reason why women tell me that they don't have an accounting system, because they don't want to look at how much money they're not making. Well, let me tell you something. I understand that, but I got to tell you something. When you pay attention to those numbers, and we all know that what you focus on grows, where you focus your attention on, that part thrives. So it's your money, your health, where you focus yourself and nurture yourself, that is going to improve. And so I'll tell you, it's pretty cool to watch your accounting system or have a meeting with your bookkeeper when you see that your business is growing. And when you know that you're going to have a meeting with your bookkeeper, or if you don't have a bookkeeper, you know that you're going to do your books on Friday, really helps you to keep focused on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday about the decisions that you're going to be making. When you have an accounting system, one of the things that you can learn is which parts of your business are most profitable. Let me tell you, it's not always the things that are the most expensive or what you charge the most for. It's very interesting when you get this into an accounting spreadsheet. And you can see accounting is so easy now with software that we can do this, and we can see what part of our business grew this month or this year. What part of our business is the most profitable? How many people owe us money? Sometimes it's a little surprising when you look at that and how big that number can get very, very quickly. So if you don't have an accounting system, I really want to encourage you to get one. Put it on your calendar to get one within the next 60 days. So there are a lot of systems that you can use. My virtual assistant uses a system called FreshBooks, FreshBooks. I say that because I just paid her invoice this morning, and it's very simple. As a consumer, she sends me an email link. I pay it. It's very attractive. For women, it's very nice. It's important to us that things be attractive. It's not an Excel spreadsheet, right? It's pretty. It has her pretty logo in there. It's very easy to navigate, and I like it, and it works for her. I think she probably has between 25 and 30 clients. But heck, over the time of her business that she's been in business, she's had hundreds of clients. And so having all of your clients in one system is a good idea too. Now, I personally, myself, I use QuickBooks Online. Before I used QuickBooks Online, I used to buy the QuickBooks software and have to download it to my computer. It was very, very expensive. Now it's quite affordable. It's less than it might be $11 a month. I think it might be $10.95 a month that I pay to keep all my books in one place. It's always updated. It's always current. And since I have so many things going on, I have speaking, I have Pittsburgh Professional Women, I have my writing and my workshops and my retreats and the people that I've met through Steve Harvey. This allows me to sort my customers and my clients. And when I need to send a thank you card or when I'm going to send out my new speaker sheet, which is a project that I'm working on right now, I can easily go into my accounting system and run a list of who was it that I spoke for in 2015 and 2016. It's really, really nice. Now, before I used QuickBooks, back when I had a home-based business when the kids were little, I used envelopes. I used manila envelopes, and I used 12 of them, one for each month. And inside of that envelope went every expense. I still do this. I keep my receipts when I'm out and I pay cash for something, or if I use my business credit card for something, that receipt goes into my wallet. And every Friday is my accounting day. When I do it every Friday, then it only takes me 20 minutes a week instead of waiting until next year and spending 5 hours or an entire weekend working on my receipts. So that's my system that I do. Every Friday, my receipts will go into QuickBooks now, but when I didn't have a system, they went into my manila envelope. So this is March. So this Friday, my receipts, I would write on the receipts what they were for, and that with receipts of any of my income would go into that envelope for March. Next month I have one for April, and then at the end of the year I have 12 pretty organized envelopes for my accountant to take a look at, who, by the way, my accountant is Paul, and he's very happy that we use QuickBooks now. So that's my number 6 mistake. My number 5 mistake that women make to sabotage their business, and I don't know if this is going to make any of you uncomfortable, but if this makes you uncomfortable, then this is something you need to give some thought to. And this is that you do not have a niche. You do not have an absolutely specific ideal client that you want to spend most of your time working with. A lot of women and men resist this. They want to work with anybody. So let's use the example, because we have all kinds of different people on this call tonight as I'm looking at your names. Let's use the example of a hairstylist, because I think everybody here can identify with getting their hair cut. So you can be somebody who cuts hair, a beautician, a salon person, and basically, who are your clients? Anybody with hair, right? Some people are born with hair. Some people have hair all the way to the dye. So almost anybody needs a haircut most of the time. So you can go work at a place that almost anybody walks into and pays $8 to $16 for a haircut, and that's for anybody. Or you can work in a hair salon that really caters to little kids. We have a couple of those, don't we? Or you can work in a hair salon that covers maybe celebrities. They're known only to work on celebrities. I've noticed people who are distinguishing themselves in the hair field now as colorists, people who are an expert at coloring hair. So if you think about that and you're imagining these different people as I describe them, you know that the people who distinguish themselves charge more, right? And you know that the people who distinguish themselves also are sort of held in a little bit higher esteem. Many of them have a waiting list of people waiting to work with them. And so think about that. Now, if a person has distinguished themselves as somebody who is an expert, let's say, for example, working with brides. This person does bride hairstyles. They're the best at working on weddings. Do you think if somebody comes in and says, I'm a career person, can you do my hair? Do you think they say, no, go away, I can't help you? Of course not. But they're distinguishing themselves in a certain niche. So I know that we have a lot of doTERRA people on the call because my friend Julie and Amy have sent this out to their list, and they're queens of the doTERRA essential oil line. And by the way, if you don't use doTERRA essential oils, they're life-changing, so find somebody. Look for Julie Margot or look for Amy Widmer on Facebook or on LinkedIn or Google them and get in touch with them. If you sell essential oils, and essential oils are a tool to help you to be healthier, to have a healthier, less medicinal life. You can tell I don't sell doTERRA, so I'm sort of making this up. But, you're kind of thinking, how can I establish myself as a niche? Well, listen, there's a lot of things as I read these catalogs that oils can help. So I was talking about at the beginning of this call how I was using some oil, some essential oil called Breeze and one called Peppermint to help with my sinuses. I always have sinus issues at this time of year when the weather begins to change. And so you might specialize as somebody who deals with seasonal allergies. You might become known as a specialist to that. Or you might become known as the person who helps people with arthritis or expecting moms or people with small children or people with cancer or, it could go on and on and on. Now, does that mean you won't ever work with anybody else? No, not at all. But it means you're setting yourself apart from everybody else. And it allows people to more easily refer clients to you. Because somebody says, I have arthritis. Oh, I know who you have to call. You got to call this lady, right? Or I'm getting married. Oh, I know exactly who you need to get in touch with. Wait till you meet this lady. She's going to be awesome. So how do you overcome this not having a niche? So if you don't have a waiting list for your business, so a lot of people are really resistant on this. They don't want to specialize themselves. They're afraid that they're going to lose business if they specialize themselves. So if you don't have a waiting list in your business, if you don't have so much abundance in your business that you don't have time to call people who want to work with you, then my suggestion to you is to try a niche for a few months and see what happens. Give it a try. Now, you can have more than one niche, but you can't work on more than one at one time. You can't brand yourself in more than one at one time. So I have a recording, and actually when I send out the recording to this call, I will send that out too, and it's called How to Attract Your Ideal Client. It's a class that I teach that's really popular, and it talks about how you can really distinguish yourself. And so give that a try. So let's say you have 2 or 3 things in your business that you really like and you want to attract. Pick the one that's the most profitable first. And that's the one that you start marketing yourself as or distinguishing yourself as. Let me see if I can think of an example for you. Okay, chiropractor. A chiropractor is another person that can work with anybody. So let's say I'm working with a chiropractor, and I do have a lot of chiropractor clients, and they say, well, we really like to work with families with young children. So there's a very specific way that we can go about marketing to families with young children. They're not always easy to get in the door, and that can take a lot of time to build up a marketing system. Who else do you like to work with? Well, Beth, I really like to work with athletes. Now that's something I can work with in a very short amount of time. Athletes, it's really important to them that they're always at their best physically. They don't always have as many demands on their time as somebody with little kids, so it's easier to get to them quickly, and it's going to be easier to get an athlete to come into a chiropractic office 3 days a week than it is going to be to get a mom with maybe 3 kids and expecting a 4th. And so you like both of them, so we can position you as an expert in both. But first, let's work with those athletes because that's the easiest one that's going and the most profitable one that will be to grow first. So number 5 is not have a niche. So let me go back over these if you're taking notes. The number 7 way that women sabotage their business is worrying about what other people think. Number 6 is not having an accounting system. And number 5 is not having a niche. Now we're going to go to number 4, and this may be you or it may be somebody you know, and this is a really big mistake that you can do that will really sabotage your business and keep you from growing, and that is when you do all your marketing and advertising on social media. How many of you are guilty of this? If we were in a room, I might ask you to raise your hands. But, I think that we as social creatures think that because we're on social media that everybody's on social media, and, it's just not true. Now, social media is a great way to market your business. It really is. And for me, it has been phenomenal at the growth of my business, and it's really broken down barriers for so many people, men and women alike, because it's made that sort of entry level to advertising sort of even for everybody. You don't have to have tens of thousands of dollars anymore to market your business because you can do it for very affordably and free on social media. But as you think about the clients that you want to attract, where else are they besides social media? Now, I always recommend that my clients pick 5 ways to market their business. One of them can be social media. But you should have other ways that you're letting people know about how you can solve their problems, and that's what marketing is. Not telling people who you are and how wonderful you are, but telling people how you can fix their problems. That's what really marketing is. So if you have not stepped outside of social media for your marketing, what I would suggest is just pick 3 ways to market your business besides social media. Just pick 3 things that you want to do. It might be an email newsletter. It might be networking events. It might be speaking. It might be writing. It could be what else could you do? Well, there's always advertising. You could do advertising. You could do direct mail. When I first had my first home-based business, I did a direct mail campaign where I mailed people a letter announcing my business. That's another thing that you could do to announce your business. Hosting events is something that you could do. So pick 3 ways to market your business and make yourself a plan of how you're going to implement these new ways. Schedule it into your calendar, and like any system in your business, you improve it and repeat it. Improve it and repeat it. And I'm not saying you have to give up social media, but why don't you step out of it a little bit and see about the people who didn't even know about you, because that's not where they are. Okay, so I have 3 more mistakes that I want to share with you, but I'm going to take a break right now and tell you about 2 very special events that I'm hosting, one in March and one in April. So like many of you, I am reinventing myself. I'm moving out of my past role as a publicist and a business strategist, and I'm moving into the role of full-time speaker, and it's exciting and a little bit scary. The first event that I'm having coming up here that I want to invite you to is completely virtual, and it's a series of 4 teleclasses, and it's just like this one tonight, but it won't be as big as this. We've got about 70 people on the call tonight. It won't be that big. This will be a small group of like-minded women who are seeking abundance in their life and business. Now, unlike tonight, we won't be using a free teleclass service like this. We'll be using a different conference that allows us to see each other, so it's a lot more intimate. Now, the course that I'm offering by teleclass, it'll be virtually. It's called Activate Your Abundance, and I'm doing it with my friend Amy Widmer, who is a superstar with doTERRA essential oils. Now, you don't have to be a doTERRA person to join us, but because Amy's hosting it, I'm able to offer this class at a really affordable rate, and it's just $68. And there are 4 classes, 4 recordings. And I realize that not everybody can make 4 different times and 4 different sessions, but trust me, you will appreciate the recordings in these classes. As you grow your business, you'll want to listen to them over and over and over again. So you can read all about this online. Don't worry, because I'm going to send you an email with all the details to this so you can stay live with me here now. But here quickly are the 4 topics that we'll talk about in that series. And I'm going to tell you, these are transformational. Amy and I spent a long time thinking about what we could do in a short amount of time. I do a success circle that's 12 sessions, sometimes 16 sessions long, and we wanted to do something short. And we went through my success circle, my Success Academy class, and we pulled out what was the most important. And what we're going to cover is, or what I'm going to cover is, setting your business intention. Sounds simple, but it's something we think deeply about, and we really create abundance through that. I go into that talk that I was telling you about how to stand out from your competition, how to position yourself as an expert, and how to put your business booked full to capacity with the waiting lists, how to attract your ideal clients. And the last class that we do is creating clients for life by implementing systems for success. And we talk about the bookkeeping, the accounting, the customer service, the sales system, the publicity system. This is a lot of information, and we break it up into 4 sessions. It's $68. Now, this virtual series actually begins this Saturday, so don't hesitate. Look at the information when I send it to you and register right away. Amy tells me we have room for 8 more people, and you will get the invite. But if you need to take a peek now, because if you're like me, you want to take a peek now, you can find it online at DT for doTERRA, dtabundance.eventbrite.com, dtabundance.eventbrite.com. Now, for those of you who enjoy retreats, okay, this is my big announcement. I'm thrilled to announce that I'm going to be having my first ever retreat. Now, this is like my first ever book. This is something I have wanted to do for many, many years. It's going to happen on April 8th through the 10th at the Jacqueline House Bed and Breakfast in Newcastle, PA, which is 1 hour north of Pittsburgh, and I know we have a lot of Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, New York people on the call tonight. So this retreat is also called Activate Your Abundance. It's the Activate Your Abundance Retreat for Women. It's Friday evening, Saturday daytime, and Sunday morning. And you guys, if you get the early registration deal, it's $125 a person. Many of you, if you're local, will not need overnight accommodations, so this is a really affordable way for you to treat yourself to it's not going to be intense. It's going to be a very enlightening opportunity to plan for your success and meet and network with other like-minded women. So for those of you who want to make a weekend out of it, there are rooms available for overnight at the beautiful Jacqueline House Bed and Breakfast, and there's also a neighboring inn because we might have more people than rooms. But there's another inn up the road. But watch your email for an invite this evening, and when the call is over. But if you can't wait, you can look at createabundance.eventbrite.com. createabundance.eventbrite.com. So let's get back to our call. I just wanted to share that announcement with you. And listen, I know that I'm going to give you a lot of information tonight. You won't be interested in a teleclass series or a retreat, but if you think it's cool, please pass it on to your friends. I really appreciate that. So let's get back to our content this evening. We're on number 3. Number 3, now some of you might be uncomfortable with this one too. You know, I don't want you to hate the messenger, but this is something that I have to say that I see over and over again. Number 3 way that women sabotage their business: too much networking. Too much networking. I have talked to women. In fact, I got a text from somebody today, and she said she actually texted me a picture of me. She was at a networking event, and somebody there had a picture of me because I'm speaking at an event up in Lawrence County next week, and they were advertising it. And I was like, "Where did you see that?" And she texted me back, she said, "I'm at a networking event." I was like, "What are you doing at a networking event at the level of your business?" And what I know that you don't have time to do right now in your business. Sometimes, now she maybe has something new that maybe she has a very, very, very good reason for being at that networking event. I'm not going to judge her, but I'm curious. When I see women saying that they don't have enough business and they don't have enough time, I have to wonder why they're at a networking breakfast that is really actually just a time to socialize. Okay? I'm not against networking. I've built my empire on networking. But sometimes we get into the habit of networking, and it's not the best use of our time. So let's just take a breath and think about this for a moment. Do you have business cards, names and phone numbers, and contact information of people that you have not had time to follow up with? Do you find that you're spending time at networking events where you're spending time and money, but you're coming home and you're not growing your business? So if you find yourself in those situations, you might want to rethink the time that you're spending networking, okay? Too much networking, again, if you don't have a business book, you're kind of in this catch-22. Well, I don't have a business that's booked to capacity. I don't have a waiting list, so I need to get out there and network. Yeah, but if you're not calling back people that want to work with you because you don't have time, then maybe you shouldn't spend all that time networking. Let's leverage the network that we already have. Oh, that's a good one. I told you I didn't write this down, but we're going to write that down. Somebody write this down and tweet it. Leverage the network that you already have. Let's do that. Now, I'm not saying you need to stop networking. I'm not saying you need to quit your favorite networking group. By all means, if you enjoy socializing with your networking group, then do that. Do that. But don't call it networking if it's not. Don't pretend like you're working when you're socializing, okay? So first of all, you don't have to quit, and you don't have to if you decide to take a break, you don't have to make it permanent. But what you need to do is make a decision to network with intention and not socializing. And what I mean by that is actually building quality connections with people. That's one thing you can do. Decide to network and not socialize. Number 2, you need to create a system for following up with the new people that you meet. So if you don't have a system for following up with people, then you're just wasting your time and spinning your wheels. Now, I don't have a very formal system. Some of you are new and have this is the first time you're hearing me speak, some of you have heard me say this before. I have a beautiful box that's on my desk. It's a white kind of wooden box with flowers on it. And here's my system. When I meet people when I'm out, so I network every place. I network at the dentist office, at the chiropractor, at the grocery store, at my niece's basketball game. I'm always networking, so I don't have to be at a networking event to network, okay? But when I meet somebody that I want to follow up with, I put that business card. So, for example, here's what happens to me commonly. I'll be speaking at an event, and somebody will come up to that event and say, I'd like you to speak for my event. Now, that's what I want to do. That's the part of my business that I want to grow the most. So I take that business card and I fold it in half, because that's my little signal to myself that this is an important one, that I don't want to lose it and get it lost. That goes into my wallet with my money, because that's what that business card is. That's money. So it goes into my wallet with my money. The other business cards that I will happen to gather up over the week, because I don't do this every day, I will put a note on it. So, for example, it's really common for me to meet somebody and they ask me a question or we talk, and I say, I have somebody that I want to introduce you to. Or, I have a class that I recorded. It just happened today. Somebody was telling me how she needed a business plan, and I had just heard a workshop about a one-page business plan. I said, I just listened to a workshop. And so I wrote on the back of that business card, one-page business plan. I wrote myself a note. Now, I don't run home and send that to her. I do that kind of stuff on Fridays and over the weekends. That is not my business. That's something that I do. That's something that I do socially, actually. And so those cards, those little notes that I make myself, they go into the front pocket of my purse or my tote bag. And when I get home, either that day or Friday of that week, those cards go into the box on my desk, and as I have time, I go through those cards and I enter them in. Now, this is something that an assistant helps me with, but she knows that if there's a note on the back of the card, she has to give me the card. She doesn't always know what it means. So that's my system. It's not technical, it's not sophisticated, but it definitely works for me. So you have to have a system that works for you. Another tip for you on this one is only attend, go to groups and meetings that are a good use of your time. Make a decision on how often you're going to network, choose where you're going to network, and then stick to that. So if you're like me and you get maybe 11 or 12 invitations to network a month, and right now I do no networking because I'm in what I call the no zone right now. I'm not taking any extra things go on my calendar other than clients and family. That's it, because I have some pretty big goals that I want to achieve this year and some things that I'm doing. So I'm not doing that. But when I do network, which is something I enjoy, I'll say, okay, I'll network once a month or twice a month. So now I have to be pretty picky about the invitations that I get. Which ones do I want to go to? And when I make my decision for the month, then the other invitations I just politely decline. And politely declining is a nice way to do it. I wish I could come. I'm not available. I hope you have a great turnout. I always politely decline my invitations. Okay. The number 2 way, all right, let's take a breath. I hope I'm not overwhelming you. I've been talking now for 40 minutes. Let me take a drink. We have 2 more. Let me go over the list. Number 7 was worry about what other people think, not having an accounting system, not having a niche, marketing only on social media, and too much networking. Number 2 is a really tricky one, and it's one that I see a lot of people struggle with, and this can really harm your business, and that is marketing to yourself. What does that mean, marketing to yourself? So you're talking to a person who spent, most of my life marketing and advertising and publicizing. So when we say in the marketing field, marketing to themselves, what we mean by that is you're writing your content, your advertising, as if the person is you. And if they're you, they don't need you. And so you've gone through a lot of training and education and workshops to get to the person that you are today, to knowing all of the things that you can solve for people. And sometimes we forget that they don't know what that is. They don't even know what that is. So, for example, we have quite a few healers on the phone tonight. So if you're a healer, if you're in the healing arts, you know about skin brushing. That's an Ayurvedic principle that you can do to help your detox and help your lymph glands and all that kind of stuff. So when you write a marketing piece about skin brushing, come to my class on skin brushing. Well, if that person already knows skin brushing, they don't really need a class on it, do they? So you need to say tired, lethargic, sleeping all the time, craving unhealthy foods, addicted to chocolate, can't focus. Now that they identify with. So in your mind, that's a skin brushing or an Ayurvedic principle or a detox class, but you can't call it a detox class. I hope that makes sense to you. So I guess let's simplify that. Let's simplify this from market to themselves to speak in their language. Think about your ideal client and speak to them in their language, not in yours. If you can tweak your marketing to talk about their problems and not about you, you'll see an instant shift in your business. And let me tell you what my goal is. My goal is for each and every one of you on this call and everybody in the range of my voice to achieve abundance by, number one, doing what you're meant to do and doing what you love and gifting your talents to as many people as you can. So I want you to have a business that's booked to capacity with a waiting list because I want you influencing people in your gifts, in what you're meant to do. Some of you are attorneys. Some of you are bookkeepers. Some of you are healers. Some of you are energy workers. Some of you are coaches. If you market to yourself, you're going to trip yourself up. So speak their language. That's my number 2 mistake. And I'll tell you, I've seen people go out of business because they won't change that principle. One particular person who went out of business, this was years ago. So not everybody, and you probably have seen this too, not everybody you work with will stay a client, okay? And that's a sign that you're getting very clear about who you're meant to work with. I had this one client years ago. She was a consultant, coach, speaker, and she liked teacups. She liked teacups. I like teacups too. I have a cup of tea right here on my desk. She liked teacups and flowers and candles. But she wasn't in the teacup and flower and candle business. She wasn't in the pink and purple and yellow and flowers and lace business. All of her marketing materials had flowers and lace and teacups, and a lot of the fonts were not easy to read, and they looked homemade because they were. And she never really understood why she couldn't get to her ideal client, who was a CEO at a Fortune 500 company. Because a CEO at a Fortune 500 company really isn't interested in teacups and candles. But that was what she liked. But that's not who we're selling to. And so there's a very simple example. Have your whole house decorated in teacups and lace and flowers, but your marketing materials need to speak to your ideal client. Okay, enough said about that. I have saved for you, number 1, I'm avoiding it. I'm dragging out here because now I need to admit to you the number 1 thing that I personally do that sabotages myself and my business, and that is the number 1 mistake that women make, and that is overbooking their schedules, overbooking themselves. Having unrealistic expectations about what actually can happen in an hour's time. For example, me thinking that I could go through 7 tips and announce a new retreat in less than 45 minutes, right? That's unrealistic expectations, overbooking your schedule. Let me tell you, I don't have to tell you about overbooking your schedule. You know what that is. You already know about how you're not supposed to say yes to everything and how you shouldn't say yes right away or you shouldn't say no right away, that you should think about every time commitment, right? But I'm going to tell you something a little different about overbooking your schedule and how it really relates to me. And this is a little bit, I'm sharing something really personal with you. So can you tell I'm dragging my feet here? I recently realized that when I am taking on something big, starting something new, doing something really, really important, I will sabotage that growth by overscheduling myself. I will suddenly become very, very interested in helping with the church or school fundraiser. I suddenly will dedicate my time to taking my mother to Sam's Club every week, even though that is my sister's job. I will suddenly begin to volunteer for things. I will I've been known to decide to take on a new home renovation project in the middle of when I'm launching a big business project. And for me, overbooking myself is a little insidious way that fear gets to me. So when fear can't get to me in the traditional way, because I'm just not a traditional girl, right? It has to come to me through a sneaky way. And so the fear is like, oh, I don't know if you're really capable of maybe doing your first retreat. So I know what we'll do. Let's sign up to be a chairperson to get all the senior citizens in the community to get their grass cut for them, right? Like something like that, taking on something, crazily ambitious. And so that's how fear holds me back with the disguise of busy, 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 busy. Well, I really did want to get that down on my website, but you know what? I was saving the world, so I couldn't. Now that I've told you that, how do you overcome that? How do you avoid this? Well, again, this is an awareness. So I became aware of this week when I was going into my closet the third day in a row for an early morning meeting when I do not book early morning meetings. But I had said yes 3 times this week to an early morning meeting out of my house. That's a huge rule that I never break. So Wednesday morning, I'm in my closet looking for my shoes. Right? What was it? It was like 70 degrees one day and then 20 degrees and then it was 5 degrees. And it was 6. Every day we're totally in a different wardrobe, right? So I'm in my closet and I'm thinking, why am I going to this appointment? And I was like, uh-oh, look what happened here, right? So I caught myself before I actually signed any contracts to take on any new charitable things. So it's an awareness. Now, if you belong to a mastermind group or if you have a coach or an accountability partner, this is another way that you can avoid this by asking for help from your peers. Now, not your family members, not your husbands, not your boyfriends, not your girlfriends or your significant others. Really, this is something that entrepreneurs and business people struggle with, and our spouses want to help us. They really do, but we're just cut from a different cloth, and they a lot of times they just don't know what to do with us. So I encourage you, if you really, really want to be at a place where you're leveraging yourself and you're attracting abundance, that you join a group like a mastermind group, an accountability group, work with a coach, or come to classes like this if that's what you can do right now. Come to Activate Your Abundance. Come to the retreat so that at least you meet some people that are like-minded that will help you when you do that. Because if you're the only person that can keep you on track and you're taking care of all these other people at the same time, what's going to happen to me this week is going to be what happens to you. It'll happen without you realizing it, okay? So another couple of tips, and I've written articles about this, you don't need to say yes to everything. And of course, that's, again, it's a habit that is easier to talk about than it is to change. But for me, the biggest thing that has impacted me is being able to shut my mouth and take a breath and recognize that I don't need to answer people immediately when they ask me to do something. I can say, let me let you know. And I can give that some conscientious thought. And does it fit into my schedule? Does it fit into my attentions? Does it fit into my mission or my purpose for this year? And if it's a yes, it's an easy yes. And if it's a no, then I can carefully think about how I can thank them very much for inviting me, but let them know that it's not something that I can do right now. So that's it. That's my 7 things that women do to sabotage themselves. And I thank you for spending an hour with me. I appreciate you dialoguing like this with me, and I hope that if something has touched you, that you'll continue the conversation with women who are important to you in your life. Now, I'm going to open up the line for questions, and I will stop the recording so you can ask me any questions that you want. You won't have to worry about being on the recording. I would love to know the thoughts or the aha moments that have come to you. I hope I haven't made anybody too uncomfortable with the things that I've revealed and my thoughts. You know, I'm a consultant, so I get to tell you what I think, and then you get to decide if you're going to take the advice or not, okay? This is, as we talked about me many years ago, sitting at my dining room table, the only people you answer to are God and your family, and so the decisions of what to do and how to be and who to be is really ultimately up to you. So think about your questions. Please don't be shy, because if you have a thought or a question, then chances are maybe somebody else has the same question and they're not ready to do it. But a final quick invitation to you. Check your emails as soon as we hang up from this recording, and you'll see an invitation either to join me at my virtual event or my first ever retreat. I'm so excited about Activate Your Abundance. So if you can come and join me in person and fellowship with me and attract abundance, I would love to have you. So again, thank you for spending your time with me. Let me shut off this recording.